Okay, so we're on Unit 1 still, and it's Module 10. There's only 11 units, so we're nearly there. Keeping vulnerable people safe. Security operatives have a duty of care for all individuals on their premises, but particularly for vulnerable people. A duty of care is defined as a moral or legal obligation to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of others. It can be difficult to tell who is and who is not vulnerable, so best practice is to have a duty of care for everyone. Vulnerable people may be under the influence of drink or drugs, alone or receiving unwanted attention, separated from friends, appearing lost or isolated, being followed or threatened, victims of domestic violence, young people under the age of 18, or being elderly. Vulnerable people may also have mental ill health, have learning disabilities or physical disabilities. They might be elderly, acutely ill, or have invisible disabilities. Actions towards vulnerable people. Consider, is there a relative or friend nearby that can help them? Can you phone anyone to come and help? Are there any local safe havens or safety initiatives nearby? Can local street marshals, street pastors, or similar groups help? Do you need to call the emergency services? If in any doubt whatsoever, report as soon as possible to your supervisor, the police, or call Crime Stoppers. There are certain indicators that a child is being sexually exploited, such as children and young people in the company of older people or antisocial groups. That doesn't mean older people as in grandparents, it just means older than them, which might see, and the socialising with them, which might seem a bit odd. Okay, acting in an inappropriate and sexualised way. Being intoxicated, arriving and departing a location with different adults. Getting into and out of several different cars. You must be vigilant at all times. If you suspect a child is being sexually exploited, you must report it immediately and follow your organisation's policies and procedures. Sexual predators are those who commit sexual crimes. They very often target vulnerable children, young adults, or adults they think they can groom and overpower. They can be of all genders, shapes and sizes. They will often appear to be confident, friendly, helpful and sober. Sexual predators may select their victims based on gender, age, race, vulnerability, appearance, location and time of day. What behaviours might indicate a sexual predator? Are they closely monitoring vulnerable people? Are they buying drinks for already drunk individuals? Buying gifts for vulnerable people? Obviously, they don't always indicate that it's a sexual predator. There are nice people out there that do buy people drinks and gifts and monitor vulnerable people for safety reasons because they might be a carer. So obviously we're not going to be suspicious of everyone. It's their body language that will give it away. If they're looking around, looking nervous, looking at cameras, looking at staff. Okay? Suspicious behaviour around certain times and venues. And are they using technology inappropriately? Taking photos of children. That's an example. What behaviours might indicate abuse? Restricting the freedom of an individual, unexplained bruising, a lack of confidence and insecurity. Is there a change in their circumstances like cleanliness and appearance? So that an example of that could be someone that you work with. They're normally lively, outgoing, having friendly banter, like to crack jokes. Then all of a sudden they go quiet, seem withdrawn. They're not their normal selves. They're not keeping themselves clean. They might have dirty fingers, dirty fingernails, not keeping the clothes clean. These are all indicators that something might be going on at home. Okay, so be mindful of that. Okay, so follow your organisation's policies and procedures. Safeguard the victim by making sure they have a safe space to stay. Inform your manager or supervisor as soon as possible. Notify the police. Record and document all information at the first opportunity. So you might get a question on your assessment paper, and it tells you a female has approached you at the end of your shift, and she breaks down and tells you that she's been a victim of abuse or rape or something like that. Um, doesn't matter if it's the end of your shift, you need to deal with it there and then, don't you? And on the multiple choice questions, it normally says that. One of them is that you take the person seriously and deal with it there and then. Another possible answer, which we will never ever do, is tell them it's the end of your shift, come back tomorrow, and you'll take the statement. Never ever think that way or do that, because that person might not come back tomorrow. If you fob them off or send them away, they might go and take their own life. So please, doesn't matter if it's the end of your shift, deal with it straight away. Get the police involved. Okay? And what is antisocial behaviour? There are three categories of antisocial behaviour depending on how many people are affected. So your personal antisocial behaviour is when a person targets a specific individual or group. Nuisance antisocial behaviour is when a person causes trouble, annoyance or suffering to a community. And environmental antisocial behaviour is when a person's actions affect the wider environment, such as public spaces or buildings. How to deal with antisocial behaviour: follow your organisation's policies and procedures. So that's going to be your assignment instructions, isn't it? Speak to the person, explain the situation and the risks of the antisocial behaviour, explain the consequences if the antisocial behaviour continues, remain calm, ensure that your colleagues know about the situation and that you've got backup if needed, and remain vigilant. Okay, conduct high profile patrols, promote early intervention. That is very important, because if you don't intervene early, things can get more serious, and then it'll be too late to deal with it. Use positive, non-aggressive communication, promptly report incidents, accurately record incidents, and liaise with the police and other appropriate agencies. With that, promote early intervention. There's an example I can give. A guy, he was a so-called door supervisor. There's two males arguing with each other, ready to fight, and this prat just stands in between them like he's a boxing referee. Doesn't say a word, just tries to stand there like he's a big bloody, I don't know, hard case door supervisor. But he sort of enabled them to then start fighting them because he didn't say a word to them. So they start punching each other's heads, and then this so-called door supervisor puts his hands up, he panics, and then goes and hides behind the wall. I've got a clip, I'll try and link it with these videos to show you exactly what happened. But it is important to intervene early, because you can stop it from getting to that stage. All you would have had to do was say, enough now lads, or you're going out if you carry on. And that would have more than likely stopped it from turning violent. But because he just stood there like he was a referee, didn't say a word, it's shocking to watch. But like people say, he sort of enabled that to happen by not intervening. So early intervention is important. Okay, identify 5 factors that could make someone vulnerable. Again, refer back if you need to, if you haven't made notes throughout. Identify behaviours that may be exhibited by a sexual predator. Identify indicators of abuse.